I've been knitting for over 16 years, and today I thought that I would share with you my best knitting tips for beginners. So let's go! Okay, the first one is use stitch markers. You don't want to guess when to do the next round of increases or color change, you want to know. And if you put a stitch marker in your work, then you can easily count the rows afterwards, and then you know when to do the next round of increases or color change. So this will really help you to follow the pattern more accurately. The next tip is find the knitting needle for you. To get a good tension, relax while knitting and having fun while knitting, you need a good knitting needle. And it doesn't have to be pricey. It all depends on what lies good in your hand. There are many types of knitting needles out there, and the most common ones are made of steel, bamboo or plastic. And usually you'll find them as double-pointed needles or circular needles. To find the knitting needle that you like the best, you simply have to try out the different ones. My personal favorite is the Chiago needle. I use a method called magic loop, which allows me to knit smaller garments using my large circular needle. And the Chiago needle has a memory-free cable, which means it would always snap back to being a straight cable, so no more tangled and curly wires. And I actually think that the magic loop technique could be really useful to learn, because when you knit with double-pointed needles, you have so many needles to control. And I remember being a new knitter and I thought that was really overwhelming. So with this technique, you just have one large circular needle to pay attention to. So if you want to check out that technique, I have a video for you up here. Okay, tip number 3 is test swatch. I know what you're thinking. We all hate knitting test swatches, okay? We all do. But they are so useful. All yarns behave differently, and especially after they've been washed. That's why it's so important to knit a gauge swatch. And by that I mean cast on multiple stitches so that your test swatch, a little patch, is 10 centimeters times 10 centimeters. Okay? Because every pattern has a gauge. And a gauge is how many stitches do you have on 10 centimeters or 4 inches if you're in the US. If you're starting a pattern and your gauge is way off, then the fit of that pattern will be totally wrong. So to prevent knitting a lovely sweater that you can't wear because it's either too big or too small, please knit a test swatch and wash it before casting on your new project. And please remember to write down the needle size you used with which yarn. You do not want to do this boring work twice. Okay? And by the way, if you're like me that has a different knitting tension when you purl versus you knit regular stitches, then you should knit one swatch for when you're knitting in the rounds and one swatch for when you're knitting front and back. I'm sorry. So the next tip is seek help when stuck. If you get stuck, YouTube has so many useful knitting videos. Me myself, I learned the knitting basics from my mother, but every technique and cable, everything more advanced, I learned from the internet and from YouTube. So YouTube here is packed with super videos. Stopping the video for a second because I forgot to advertise for my own channel. I have a lot of knitting videos, and if you would like to check out my channel, I would be super happy. So please do it, and let's go back to the video. But if you can't find what you're looking for here, then maybe you could check with a neighbor or a knitting forum, or maybe your local library has a knitting group you could ask. And I know that knitting stores are happy to help their customers if they're stuck. There's no shame in asking for help. We have all been there and we all know how frustrating it is to be stuck. Okay, next tip is have fun. Okay? Don't knit a washcloth or a headband if you're bored with the project before you've even started. If you've seen a pattern of a beautiful sweater you would like to try, then go for it. Check YouTube for technique videos and just remember that it takes time to get good. But all this time, researching, trying, error is an investment in getting better in the art of knitting. So don't be afraid to dive into a project that's too hard. Yes, you might fail, but you might succeed as well. And it's so much more fun succeeding with a beautiful sweater than a beautiful washcloth. But that's my opinion. Maybe you are dreaming of a new beautiful washcloth. Then of course, go for it. But if you're the person that's afraid of failing, afraid of diving into a sweater pattern, be bold. Okay, so I'm saying good luck with your knitting project. If you have any questions or if you want me to make a specific knitting video, then please comment below and I will see what I can do. And I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.